Broken Lizard has always been pretty niche.
Yeah.
Like, they really have. And I feel kind of bad for him in a way because I love Club Dread. And I think most of their fans and people who have seen it really do like that movie. I think it's probably my
We
favorite Bill
we should do
Paxton
a
movie.
retro review of that movie because I've been looking for an excuse to finally sit down and watch it. If we're ever
I
having a
would love to
lull,
hear your thoughts.
I would love to actually talk about that movie because that's the only Broken Lizard movie I still have not seen.
If you're a horror fan too, like Catherine hadn't seen it. I showed it to her a long time ago. She loved it. If you're a horror fan, it's not a shock because you know how like a lot of comic actors and directors can do horror really well.
Yeah.
But what they do well in that movie is they manage to give you what you want out of a slasher movie. The kills are creative and bloody. It's a very bloody movie, but it's a very funny movie. It retains the level of like lighthearted satirical humor in it. And its greatest attribute is something with every rewatch, I've probably seen it 6 or 7 times. With every rewatch, I appreciate it more because they constantly throw you red herrings on who the killer
Oh,
is.
really? All right.
The buddy we were talking to at the theater the other day, he's like, I need to go back and watch that because I don't remember who the killer was. And I said, they feed you all there's at least every scene is designed in some ways to make you think it's this person or this
Huh.
person. They it it's like they spin you around. If you look up the poster of the movie or the DVD cover, it gives you a red herring right there on the fucking cover of who you
Yeah.
think the killer is. It's the equivalent, I think I said in my review, of like blindfolding you and spinning you around. And it's so creative that by the end you really don't know
Yeah.
who the hell the killer is. It's such a funny movie, and Bill Paxton did all the music too. It's
And
great.
like you're definitely right about the going back to what you were saying initially about this whole thing. The VHS thing definitely played into it because I remember I rented the shit out of Super Troopers 1 at Blockbuster because it's just like they were just scenes I love. I love the burger scene. As a kid, I would quote that like
Mhm.
constantly with my dad. So it's like anytime we were like Blockbuster was doing like oh rent two like get another free or whatever like or Hollywood Video or wherever we were going to rent a movie. Anytime if we couldn't find anything with the free, we would just be like, oh fuck, let's just get Super Troopers or get a comedy that we like quoting and just like rewatch a few bits. Because we didn't that stuff wasn't really on YouTube just yet, and if it was like in the shittiest quality ever. like,
Yeah.
um, so it was like that's what we did with the VHS and DVD player and everything and yada yada yada. But like, and Matt Damon has also brought this up in interviews. That's what you could always rely on when you made a comedy. If you didn't do well in the theaters, it
Yes.
was if somebody brought that over to a house party from Blockbuster or somebody owned it, you can gain a new audience. It became a cult hit after. Dogma is an example of that, where it's like didn't do well in theaters, became a hit when it got to Comedy Central, when it got to this. But like nowadays, yeah,
Tremors. Tremors is another
Tremors
one.
is another one, yeah. Nowadays, though, this is the biggest concern I have. Only a few movies have ever done this, but that's like because like they're part of a big IP, like Into the Spider-Verse.
Back and better than ever. It's Sleepless with Steve live on YouTube. We come to you live and in living color every Wednesday evening, 6:30 Central Time. Me, Steve Pulaski, Joe Viso, Dominic Guanzon on the move today. Very safe, hands-free driving over here.
I'm
Very
not even
nice.
using my hands to steer.
Good to see you, gentlemen, today. We are talking the end of Oak Street, which has been buzzy over the last few days. I opined when we brought this up last week that I thought this movie was going to do pretty well, or I thought it would do well. This thing's more expensive than I thought it was. This thing's about $90 million,
Yeah.
and it's already made 52 so far. So it's doing pretty well. It's the new movie from David Robert Mitchell, who, if that name sounds at all familiar, he was the director of It Follows, and I want to talk about that later on too about David Robert Mitchell because like It Follows really felt like a turning point for horror, that and Get Out, at the time. So I'll touch on that later on. But brand new science fiction movie. Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor, Macy Stella, and Christian Convery all in the movie too. Sort of a domestic dinosaur thriller set in the 80s, set in the early 80s. And see dinosaurs ravage a suburban neighborhood, which is not something we're accustomed to seeing when dinosaurs run amok. So be an interesting discussion, if nothing else. Got Joe doing the hosting duty since Dom is on the road. How are you gentlemen today?
I'm doing all right. I just wanted to get to Friday. That's keep it short and simple. Cannot wait to get to Friday. Uh, I really got nothing going on, major news or anything to really share. I'm just excited for football season to start. We're nearly there. Um, That's really just about it, man. Like other than that, I mean, coming down to the end of the days of the summer. Uh, Nothing much else, man.
This is the cross your fingers time for football fans because any notification every day, it seems like somebody goes down
Yeah,
in training camp or something. I saw a Texan Houston wide receiver tore his ACL,
yeah.
today, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I've seen enough. Shut it all down. Start the season next Wednesday. Shut it all down. Like, I'm sick of it. We already got injuries on our end too,
Yeah, we
so
do.
I'm not fucking happy about either. Dom, how are you?
I'm doing a-okay. Driving through through the city, making my way downtown, walking past, faces past, and I'm homebound. Well, opposite of that, I'm going somewhere, but I won't say. But yeah, I'm doing a-okay, and can't wait to talk about this one.
I feel like we got Dom on the ham radio. Like
It does kind of sound like a ham. It does kind of sound like
Burger 1-2, burger, gone boy.
you know. Yeah, he's gonna chime in. It's gonna be really good with the effect over here, like that. Ewan McGregor sure is a square. But anyway, David Robert Mitchell's The End of Oak Street. So we'll dive into it right now. Interesting thing about David Robert Mitchell is that, I mean, you remember it feels like a long time ago, when It Follows came out, and we talk about so much on the show about how horror is probably the genre that's doing the best right now, just in terms of everything. So many dynamic new voices and everything this year alone. David Robert Mitchell's It Follows, kind of in conjunction with Get Out, feels like it ushered in this new director, writer driven era of horror where studios allowed these like writers and these directors to really come up with a creative original project. It Follows was massive. Thinking back to it, it was kind of like it wasn't nearly the box office success, but man, I mean, it kind of felt when it came out like you look at what Obsession was this year, it kind of felt like that It horror movie of
it
the year.
it got me, who wasn't. I was just starting to really look at films as a form of art, all that kind of stuff, to eventually lead to what we do right now and everything. It got me and my fans, who were very casual moviegoers. We'll go to the theater for the big new release and everything, but it got us going, dude, we gotta check this thing out. Apparently, it's one of the best horror movies of the year. And we went to go see it, and my friends hated it, but there was something about it. I went, no, I kind of dug it. It did something different.
It's
It was
really
kind
funny
of
how it's really funny how you mentioned that, because it's like from that, from It Follows and Get Out, like we've borne full fruit and handed the torch to Back Session and whatever's coming from that.
it was kind of victim to a little bit of festival overpraise. I mean, I think it's a really good movie. I don't think it's a perfect movie. That was kind of the movie too. I remember like now, because it was so buzzy at festivals when it premiered earlier that year, and then it got
Yeah.
released in March of 15. And I remember like the praise was crazy. It almost set the movie up the bar too high, I think. So now I'm always cautious when like, Sundance is going on or cons going on. I'm always a little cautious when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But the reason I even bring it up though is because of the fact that like David Robert Mitchell, he hasn't been as productive as you might think. He did Under the Silver Lake a few years ago, but that was really low key. I remember I saw his first movie when it came out back in 2011. It's called The Myth of the American Sleepover, which is a pretty good, kind of like if you remember the movie Adventureland with Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's a very like low key drama, and I liked it a lot. He's done a lot of different things, but I'm kind of surprised he hasn't been a more prolific. And I feel like he doesn't get brought up enough because he doesn't do much anymore. He hasn't done much recently. I feel like he doesn't get brought up though as like a credit to like where horror is now. I do think that's
Yeah.
good. I got a good eye roll from Catherine in the movie too, because we were watching the End of Oak Street when the first dinosaur appears. I whispered, "It swallows."
Shut the fuck up.
you know. Well, at first though, I was thinking though with this movie, I'm like, is it Jurassic Things or Stranger Park?
Oh my God, Steve.
I was on a roll. But this movie, though, it's set in 82, and it focuses on this fictional suburb or whatever. It's called Flower Vale. It's in Michigan. And it's this really tiny this subdivision enclave and things like that. The parents are Ewan McGregor and Anne Hathaway. Their marriage is on the rocks. You have two teen siblings, Brian and Audrey, played by Christian Convery and Maisie Stella. And it takes it's not a very long movie, blessed so, but it takes its time getting going though, setting the scene of this town of Flower Vale. And there's just some weird stuff that appears. Like there's this weird random extinct flower that grows in this elderly woman's yard that she and Anne Hathaway's character take note of. And then eventually, in simplest terms, the town's rocked by a power outage that shuts off the water, takes the phone lines down and everything. And then dinosaurs all of a sudden start to emerge. You have Stegosauruses, T-Rexes, Velociraptors, all this shit's flying around. Basically, the outskirts of their suburb has been replaced with like a prehistoric forest. And there's nowhere to go. They're basically, it's almost like the Simpsons movie when they're under the dome, though they're not under the dome. There's nothing beyond there. They can't get out. So it's trapped this whole town without electricity, without phone lines, anything, in this like dinosaur hellscape. I mean, first things first, I will say, it is pretty damn cool to see dinosaurs run around suburbs. I will say that. That's a setting that we haven't really played with a lot. There's obviously Jurassic Park, which is set in a park.
Yeah, I was going to say, the recent Jurassic Park movies, which I can't remember if it's Lost Kingdom or Dominion, but one of them teased it up to be like, dinosaurs are going to be living amongst us, and then the follow-up movie is, we're going to talk about locusts. And it's just like, wait, hold on. Like, there was an obvious setup here that we're just completely ignoring.
And there was the Lost World Jurassic Park 2, where it's like, okay, the ending of this movie is like a T-Rex loose in downtown city.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see. It's really cool to see dinosaurs in the suburbs in this sort of setting. And this suburbia that they set this movie in, it kind of reminded me of like Edward Scissorhand, Don't Worry, Darling, a little bit. Like it's got this like really manicured aesthetic to it and everything. It almost looks fake in a good way, in like an aesthetically pleasant way.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I won't get into them all here. I do have some problems with this thing, though, that kind of curbed my enthusiasm on this thing. This movie sort of sets up to be told through the eyes of the kids when it isn't. It's told through the eyes of the adults, for the most part, who are the main characters. And I think that made it, in my opinion, decisively less interesting as it went on. What say you, Joe?
Yeah, for me, when I first read about this movie, I thought it had like the best tease of all time. That like every year, what I always do is I look up like some upcoming releases and I kind of put them on my radar of just like general like synopsis or like who's creating it and stuff like that. And when I saw the director of this, I mean, like, I do enjoy It Follows. I never saw Under the Silver Lake. I am looking forward to They Follow, so I'm interested to see like how that turns out. But I remember just reading the synopsis for this movie, and it just said, and originally it was called The End of Flower Vale, and it was just literally saying a family one day awakens to find out that prehistoric dinosaurs are running around their neighborhood. And all I saw of it was that, the director, and Anne Hathaway and Ian McGregor in it. And I was like, I'm sold. I'm like, you got a main actress that I've always loved, you got a director that I've always liked, and a premise that sounds way better than anything Jurassic Park's been doing lately. So for me, I was sold on the premise alone. And I gotta admit, David Robert Mitchell runs with this premise for the like majority of the movie, and he does it pretty well. At least visually, as a director, I think he really takes advantage of the whole idea of dinosaurs roaming a neighborhood. With that being said, let me say this. This is a horror movie director making this. And it's not like it's a horror movie director making Jurassic Park where it's like, okay, we'll let the dinosaurs have some cute moments and they're going to get the bad guy. The bad guy's going to his comeuppance. And even though he'll get killed in a brutal way, it's okay. He's a bad guy. No, there are people in this movie who are just innocent neighbors and residents of this neighborhood who might be like an a-hole or whatever, but like they never really did anything wrong. They get torn apart, eaten, stomped, ripped apart by all types of dinosaurs. And it's something that's just like, man, the original Jurassic Park kind of had that grit to it where it was like, man, people are getting messed up throughout this movie and people are actually in danger. But as the sequels went on, not so much that original three, those original three still kept, I still think like that crazy, like, you know, idea of like dinosaurs actually living among us. But when we got to Jurassic World and they started making dinosaurs like sidekicks to the heroes and everything, it's just like, oh, okay, like, you know, they're not as dangerous as they were in the original movies and everything. No, here dinosaurs are dangerous as hell. If you have a kid that loves the Jurassic Park movies and they're like, Daddy, I want to go see, or Daddy, Mommy, I want to go see the new dinosaur movie, they're gonna come home after seeing this, and they're not gonna even ask to go see Paw Patrol Dino like Adventure or the hell it's called, because they're gonna be afraid of dinosaurs from here on out. So David Robert Mitchell, like, I really did think did a great job at bringing the threat of dinosaurs back into like a big budget movie, like making it realize, like, yeah, if this was actually happening, like, these things would destroy us. They are a danger. They're not like these cutesy little things like the Jurassic Park movies have made them out to be. I'm not trying to come at the Jurassic Park movies whatsoever. I know that has its fan base, but it's just like, I know you
they
will.
suck now. They suck now.
They do. Yeah, I mean, they do. But like, this kind of brought like, hey, like, this is kind of what I liked about those original Jurassic Park movies, especially that first one, which is really the only one I like. And with that being said too, I do enjoy like the fact that the movie is just about this family trying to survive. It's just like, hey, like, we're not... One of my favorite things about this, and I was so worried the movie was going to do this, is that they were going to explain the science behind why their neighborhood got transported. But luckily, they do kind of like... And this was, as I'm about to say this was apparently at one point going to be a Cloverfield movie. But they kind of do the Cloverfield thing, where it's just like, look, we'll give you like little hints here and there, and if you want to dive into it, go right ahead. But the movie's mainly about these characters just surviving this specific sci-fi scenario that they're in. And that's why I enjoy about like 10 Cloverfield Lane, the original Cloverfield movie, and like, you know, originally The Quiet Place was supposed to be a part of those movies, and it's what I enjoy about The Quiet Place. They don't go into the background of it, and so on and so forth. With that being said, the longer I've thought about this movie, the more I've actually really disliked it. When I left the theater, I was like, you know what, that was fun. I had a good time. And the longer it sat with me, and I went to Chili's afterwards with my friends eating food and everything, and I'm just sitting there eating my triple dipper, and I'm like, hold on a minute. That ending really made no sense. Wait a minute. Wait, these characters didn't really resolve anything, and they try to make it seem like that at the end of the movie, and slowly but surely I started realizing, wait a minute, I was just distracted by how cool this movie was visually, that when I started thinking about the writing and the characters, I'm like, wait, there's nothing there for me. There really wasn't. And I felt that way while watching the movie. There were just times it kind of just won me over with surprises. And there's a surprise in this movie that I did not see coming with one of the leads in this movie. And I was like, oh shit, okay. Didn't see that happening. So it caught me off guard. And I think like that just kind of threw me into a whole like, wow, that was kind of bold to do. With that being said, I don't want to take up too much more time. Dom, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a lot to say there. First of all, let me begin by saying I went to go see this with my mom, and we went to Chili's right before the movie.
Oh,
and I had a great time, and still had a great time. So obviously, as the science experiment has proven, Sagan will be proud of us. You should go to Chili's before, not after. That's and you'll enjoy movies more. That's clearly how this plays out. No, for me, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie a lot. Steve, you actually touched on something I didn't even realize until you said it, where it's like, this really is filling or actually, no, it's Joe. It's filling the cavity, filling the hole that the Jurassic World sequel trilogy left in my heart that I had been longing for. And I really was wondering if I should say this, because like, is it just because it's dinosaurs? But no, I really felt like there was some Spielbergian magic there, hints of it, you know?
Oh, absolutely. With it being produced by J.J. Abrams, like, you can definitely tell, like, you know, I mean, J.J. learned from Spielberg. Yeah.
But for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Steve, you know, it's so funny. This might be a stylistic thing, but maybe it's because I like binged Stranger Things last year, and I'm like all Stranger Things out. But I'm like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, focus on the parents. I don't give a we just focus on these kids every now and then, and keep it grounded. If anything, there was like a grounding and a realism to this that I enjoyed, kind of like the first Jurassic Park, where it's like, no, people are getting got, like Joe was saying.
Yeah.
innocent people too, where it's like morally, like there's no morals to this. These are fucking dinosaurs. They don't give a shit.
The fact they showed kids getting killed, I was like, oh, no one's actually safe in this movie. I'm actually quite scared of what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I thought, I'm thinking like, yeah, those kids are on the menu. Those kids are on the table. And I think that it's other things like too. Joe said alluded to a big twist, which we won't mention here, but I'm like, I was thoroughly impressed by that. And also, there's a character here. He has a bow and arrow. The kid, I'll say it, the kid, the son, he has a bow and arrow, and he's like whiffing with that thing the whole time. And it takes until like literally there is a dinosaur that's not paying attention that's like 2 feet away from him, or he finally gets a shot. I'm like, no, but you know what? The internet is probably going to dunk on that kid, but to be fair, most of us would whiff if we were in that scenario.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people complaining about how that kid was useless. I'm like, that was like one of the more realistic things about that movie, is that kid actually would probably be missing a lot of bow shots.
100%. Like, bow and arrow ain't fucking easy. There's a reason why guns are popular. They're super freaking easy. But no. Details aside, I really enjoyed this, and for me, how it wraps up, even then, Joe, I really was along the same line. Honestly, like the initial, like, oh, okay, here's how they save it, and then they throw in a detail in there where it's like, oh, they save a lot more than just this.
Yeah.
How do they do that? I wonder. But then again,
I gotta talk to you guys about it in the green room, because I have so many questions.
That's not real. That's not apropos of anything. At least I don't think so.
No, it's going to be hard to it's hard to tap dance, or it's going to be an act of tap dancing around the ending and stuff like that. You know what's funny about that, though, as I proceed to do this, the bow and arrow thing didn't really bug me too much.
No.
You know what really pissed me off, though, was when they, without going into detail of what they're trying to do, in the end, when they have to time their jump, when they have to time a jump.
Yeah.
That was pissing me off, man. The one girl did it right immediately and bolted. And then this family's dicking around and arguing about who should go first. And then one of them gets hurt. And I'm like, that's what you get for screwing around, for Christ's sake. Like, anybody who plays video games.
This movie is kind of like a disaster scenario preparedness training film. You know what I'm saying? Where like, here's what to do. Here's what not to do. Don't hesitate.
And I'll add to this. I swear it doesn't affect my rating. It's just a nice talking point too. Man, I'll be dipped in dog shit that this dog can survive this entire movie,
dude,
running around from the damn dinosaur, but not one but two cats within 5 seconds of appearing on screen get fucking ate. In the immediate, the anti-cat bias and shit in this movie really annoyed me. Annoyed me.
What was it, dude? Man, the body count with cats alone was high too. Like,
ridiculous.
There's at least, it's just like, and all I kept thinking about myself was like, Steve, they really try to sell, like it, like Dom said, they really try to sell this to be like as grounded as possible with how crazy of a situation that this is, that dinosaurs are in a neighborhood. There were times where I'm like, man, the logic going on here really isn't making, like, I don't blame the kid for like seeing his dog and wanting to go after it. That's a kid thing to do. Like, any kid would do that. It's the fact that he's roaming around at night in the neighborhood screaming like, what was the dog's name?
Starbuck.
I was like, I know it's like, yeah, for the Battlestar Galactica like name and everything. He like is screaming Starbuck, and I'm like, there's dinosaurs out here who are like attracted to the slightest sound. And this kid's just running around the neighborhood screaming it at night, and nothing is coming to hunt him down. It's like, there were times where it's like, in one case, the tone.
There's a kid that hunts him down.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started. That bully subplot was so stupid.
Oh no, and that's one of the things too. What I was just gonna say, this kid, you're talking about the kid not being smart for going around screaming for his dog in the middle of the night with dinosaurs running around too. Yeah, well, he's also the kid that couldn't time a fucking jump either. Like, you know what I mean? Like
as much as like everybody's talking about the bow, I'm like, okay, the other two things, like, I could dog on him more, but this one thing I won't.
I wonder if he's autistic, because he wasn't picking up on certain social cues concerning his sister and another girl.
That's true too.
To quote the late great Chicago rapper FBG Duck, "Same place we catch him, same place we leave him." You know, but you know, like, this is one of those movies that, like, the idea is great, but the details lack. That's this movie, and kind of how it dawned on Joe, at least like after you come away from it, you start to think about like some of the a lot, and I know it's dinosaurs in suburbia, I know, but
Yeah.
some of the like
There's still
logical
logic. There's still
lapses,
logic.
to the story's concept. Like the I will say the end is really sweet. I liked the ending in terms of how it works out for the characters and the mother who wants to be a writer. I like that aspect of it. I like how the initial sight of the pizza delivery truck the father has that becomes like a stain in the front yard on
Yeah.
the mother's part then becomes like a saving grace. I like that. I do like those details to it. But as Joe said, and it's hard to tap dance around it, but like it doesn't make any sense though. Like
No.
it doesn't make any sense. Like by the movie's logic, wouldn't there be another version of the family?
Yeah.
Like would there not be? Where the hell were they then? If the father was here, where were the family then in this extended time? You know what I mean? Like so there's part of that doesn't really land the
Dude,
plane.
I was
As
gonna
sweet
say,
as
like the best way he could do this is what he's doing with They Follow. He does a sequel way down the line, and if they make an End of Oak Street 2, and we follow the point of view of that family, it's just like what's happening there. I'd be like, okay, now I'm back in it to win it. Like I'm interested to see how this plays out.
It reminded me, you said it's kind of Spielbergian. Now, it would be Spielbergian for me if it focused on the kids, which is what it kind of sets up in the beginning. It shows the girls' friend group, it shows the boys' friend group. There's the subplot with the bully about the teen. Christian Convery's character accidentally breaking the younger brother of the bully's arm.
Yeah.
And but that like doesn't get resolved hardly at all and doesn't really have any bearing on the plot. It sets up what it set up for me was something I thought it was going to follow this dinosaur invasion from the different perspectives of groups. Some like the boys' friends, the girls' friends, the parents, the adults.
Me too. Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for. And what you get isn't bad. I didn't have much fun. Like McGregor and Hathaway's characters are miserable, and they don't really have a quality reason to be miserable either. It's not like
Yeah.
one of them's an asshole, one of them cheated, one of them like a relationship sinking lie. Like they just seem miserable to be miserable here. I don't really understand what the whole divorce conflict was about.
At first, I was like, okay, like Ian McGregor, like, and no, look, I like Ian McGregor. I thought he was kind of sleepwalking through this too. I didn't think his performance was really matching Anne Hathaway on screen. But his character, I thought, okay, he's kind of being aloof and everything. Like, I guess I kind of see where Anne Hathaway's coming from. As the movie went on, I'm like, no, both of y'all are just terrible for each other because Anne Hathaway's not giving him a break, dude. And it only made it to where it's like, okay, so is this movie going to be about the adults and like now that their back is up against the wall, they were about to go through a divorce, but now they have to come together, be there for their kids, and help them get through this terrible scenario that they're all stuck in. Is this how they're going to repair their marriage? And it's like the film kind of seems like it's like that, but they don't write any scenes for that. There's like one scene where it's like they survive like a stampede, and it's like, oh, isn't this romantic? Look how we're hiding in the backseat of a car. Doesn't this bring us back? And then like the next scene after that involves like the departure of these two characters from one another and everything. And it's just like Anne Hathaway's longing to reunite with him and everything. And it's like, I don't see how, like, literally, like, most of this film, you've been pissed off at him. And now the second you guys are separated, and I get, like, how they get separated is, like, it's really crazy and everything. But it just is like, I don't get now how she is like, oh, I need him. It's like, there wasn't any buildup to that. It kind of feels like the movie is really lost in the idea of the whole spectacle of this. It gets lost in that for too long that it kind of forgets to tie it back to these characters who are stuck in that scenario. And as much fun as I had watching that scenario play out and everything, I couldn't help but feel after the movie, I'm like, wait a minute, no, like, hold on, this film was kind of lacking in a few things. And it really started hitting with me once I was thinking about that ending.
How much time do we have?
I don't know. Last time that timer didn't even pop up for me.
I don't have a countdown on my end.
I'm on mobile, so it doesn't say. But I'll push back only slightly because I do agree, and I think Steve nailed it, where it's like they really were setting up a slightly different like plot or like which characters we're gonna follow and how we're gonna follow them. It really just stays on the family. So what it's settled into and how it comes out of that. So like the second and third acts, I was actually cool with. We're like, okay, here we are, and I'm gonna enjoy this. That's cool. But you're right. I was expecting more with like knowing those group of kids who probably all fucking died. I was expecting more, with the daughter maybe just a little bit. I'm actually okay with it focusing on the parents because they were doing so much of the emotional weight here. Where that was the weightiest part. I was actually cool with that, and I like that. I do like that arc, but it's just it was just kind of like being juggled in a lot of weird ways that didn't settle until the dinosaurs came into the picture, which is already like a whole different chapter. I will say, this is a pet peeve. I don't know if this is going to affect my rating, but it's like the first like minute of your movie, in my opinion, like you got to do something with that. I'm not asking for a whole James Bond, intro sequence, but this movie, like the first two shots were like, oh shit, here's Oak Street, and then here's the family, and they're just doing stuff. Like, oh, okay. And there wasn't anything like, it almost felt like it was economic more than artistic. You know what I'm talking about?
I've always felt that way about movies. I feel like your opening scene, like it's not literally setting the tone and scene. It doesn't have to do that.
It serves its purpose. Right?
Yeah, but I kind of agree with you that I always felt like your first minute of your movie should help like kind of set everything like kind of into motion. Like, enter the world that you're about to go into and everything. And this does just immediately go like, it's got that Spielberg, dun, 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 dun. It's just like, oh, we're in Oak Street, and there's a barbecue, and there's a cul-de-sac party. It's just like... It
felt like we were coming back from commercial.
Yeah, no, dead ass, yeah. It's just like, you're now watching the Disney Channel. It's just like, boom, we're back.
and then it's showing you the neighborhood. Hit me with your best shot.
By the way, the timer did pop up for me now. We have 9 minutes, and we have 9 minutes exactly.
To balance that out, there's a sequence with the daughter where she's listening to Valerie, not Valerie.
Come
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Valerie. I'm like, okay, that's actually, I kind of like that scene. I thought it was gonna get like corny or funny. No, this girl's just going through it.
Yeah.
To the end of her world, and I was like, yeah, that's real, that's good.
No, there's moments like that in this movie that I actually really thought like, damn, like there are seeds of a really damn good movie in here, like something that could have been amazing, like a sleeper hit of the summer. It's like, hey guys, I know everybody's going to see the Odyssey and Spider-Man, but you gotta check out this end of Oak Street. Like this thing actually has like some weight to it. That scene in the garage where she's listening to music. That was emotional. Like I saw some people criticizing that scene. Like, why would she do that? Like, she's making noise and everything. Like, dude, as far as she knows, this is the last time she's ever going to listen to this song and any music in general at that point. Because there ain't no radio, there ain't no electricity. It's like, that felt so like natural to the story. Because at that moment in time, they were coming to terms with, we're not going home. Like, that's it. What we have in this house, that's the last bit of civilization we have and everything. And like them boarding up the house, and in the distance you're hearing screaming from people who are probably getting perished by dinosaurs and stuff. There are moments like that throughout this movie. It's like, damn, that's so cool to like see them kind of capture this on this kind of scale. It's like, again, even moments like that, like in a Jurassic Park movie, would go the long way. But like Jurassic Park is 100% focused on spectacle. This, it gets lost in it, but it has seeds of like, okay, we know how to tell a story here. Like Steve said, at the end when the pizza truck like appears and everything, you see that sign and how that's set up like in the beginning of the movie where it's like, this is kind of like a stain on the family. The mom is embarrassed by it, to where how it ends at the end of the movie, where it goes to at the end of the movie. It's like the significance and how that changes. That's so smartly written. It's like, damn, like it's right there in front of you guys, but you didn't connect the lines necessarily. You have the dots, you just didn't connect the lines of this picture for me.
Really well said. Really well said.
That's a metaphor a fourth grader can understand. That's good.
Thank you.
And I will say I agree with you earlier, your earlier point too about how McGregor they're both competent performances. Hathaway really is the best of the bunch here.
Yeah.
You know what's impressive about Anne Hathaway too, and I thought about this movie, and this is a movie is I really enjoyed it. I've only seen it once, and it was in theaters about 7-8 years ago. The movie Colossal with her in it.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, which was a really good, like a kind of a strange like take on like the kaiju genre, where she loses her job and she's constantly drinking, and then there's like this monster. I remember saying at the time it kind of looked like Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy that's like ravaging South Korea, and then she realizes she's connected to that monster.
Yeah.
And it's like Anne Hathaway can kind of like roll up her sleeves still and like do a movie like this and do it really well, and give it some like emotional heft to it too. So I was again impressed with her.
The fact that I've seen her in 4 movies this year, and every single one of those movies, I felt like she played a entirely different character and gave a different performance in each, says a lot to her as an actress, man. Like, I mean, there's one moment in this movie too where like their basement gets flooded and she has something down there, and just the look she gives and like a physical reaction she gives, it was like that sold it completely. The emotional weight, the frustration, everything was sold in just that one look. It's like, damn, she's so good in this.
It kind of, the movie overall, if I feel like, and it's not as good as some of the best ones, but like it does kind of look and feel, I was talking about sort of the look of it. It reminds me a lot of like an Off-Kilter Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
Like it has some of that energy to it too. And I wonder, because I know, like I said, he's all over the marketing and in the poster and everything. So I figured that he probably had a really significant share in the production of J.J. Abrams too. I almost wonder, depending, and maybe Mitchell's script always kind of centered more around the parents than the kids. I wonder if the fear of kind of going in that direction was to not make it draw comparison to Super 8. You know
what? Yeah, and not even just Super 8, but just the fact that like there kind of is an overall satirization of like kids going on these like adventures with like these killer like things, like Stranger Things is that, they're fighting
we're sort of post the 80s nostalgia with kids. I understand that part.
So kind of
definitely.
I guess doubling down on how violent something can get. And Stranger Things, there are moments where Stranger Things does get like super violent and gory at times. But like this, I feel like doubles down on that, and then focusing more on the adults. It's like I kind of see them going like that route and like kind of being like, let's do something different with it to be refreshing in theaters.
I want to say, because I don't have enough time actually to say this here, there are a couple really well shot moments in this thing too. It's a credit to Michael Giulakis, the cinematographer. There's one of the first when Ewan McGregor's character encounters the dino. If you're talking, you're on mute, Dom.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just came back from a time anomaly. There were no dinosaurs. There were a shit ton of amoebas. It was weird. No, I'm kidding.
Jesus. Real quick before intermission, I just want to say that there are a couple of really good dynamic shots, and one of my favorites is the one when Ewan McGregor first encounters the dinosaur. There's a great tracking shot that follows a fence that reminded me, I know it's not close to your guys' heart, but it reminded me of Tremors when they follow the ground moving.
Yeah.
And it posits the ground and it like tracks the movement. That reminded me of Tremors, which is a really good thing. Anytime I can make a Tremors reference is awesome. And also I guess it was a focal point of the trailer when the family really comes face to face with the dinosaurs and really finds himself in danger. I didn't see the trailer for this thing. That was a riveting scene.
Yeah.
That really, and how it ends, you're not expecting. Like, even if it is sort of like shown heavily in the trailer, they don't show you the part that you're not expecting. There's a part that they don't show that I think caught a lot of people, myself included, off guard.
Well, one of my favorite is how they're staging the scene when like dinosaurs are in the neighborhood and they're starting off the morning. Like, because like you said, actually, one of my favorite parts about this movie is how it takes its time to get to that point, and that you spend a lot of time with them in the morning, going about their day, what they're doing, eating breakfast, stuff like that. So when the dinosaurs eventually show up and it's just another morning, the daughter's on the rooftop reading a book, there's a guy leaving for work across the street, But like as the morning is going on, the situation is escalated to where like that neighbor returns, hauling ass into his driveway and then running in, and then even their drive around their own neighborhood. Even that, the way that tracking shot's done and how the camera stays in the car the entire time, and just as they're driving around, like you see it in the rear view mirror, you see it in the background, but like dinosaurs are just running around, breaking houses, smashing cars, eating people. It's just like, this is terrifying. They did a great job with the cinematography in this movie, making you feel like this is completely out of control and the chaos matches the cinematography. Or the cinematography matches the chaos.
Well said. We are butting up against our intermission here. I don't want to get cut off like last week, too. Still scarred.
Yeah.
We will be back from our Zoom-sponsored intermission here in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We're talking the end of Oak Street. Joe Viso, Dominic Guanzon, and yours truly back in just a couple of minutes for Sleepless with Steve.
And I didn't really think about it until like a couple days ago, Dom, actually. I was like, man, I think Dom might have quite a bit to say about this movie, too. He knows
I do.
Classical music better than I do and stuff. I know jazz is really one of your, get you out of bed in the morning. That's one of your passions in life. But I'm excited to talk this movie, Tar, because I love this movie, and it's so hard for me to describe to people why I love this movie.
Isn't it? It's so difficult. I actually I told my friends, one of my friends, actually the same guy, that's Iron Carter, funny enough. I was like, I came out of the theater, like literally out of the theater. I texted him and goes, man, you got to watch this movie, Tar. And he's like, I have heard nothing about it. What's it about? It's like, oh yeah, how do I describe it to him? It's
no
like,
kidding, right?
Yeah. And then I wound up kind of sneakily. I said, it's the harrowing story of a gay conductor trying to keep her concert together, which is technically correct.
That's not wrong. You're not wrong. There's no false advertising there. First things first, just contextualize this because I think there's a large part of the population that has not heard of this movie. Kate Blanchett's in it. It's directed by Todd Field. Todd Field, this is his first movie that he's worked on in 16 years. And I mean first movie, period. The guy hasn't produced anything, written anything. He's quit acting since like the early 2000s. This is his first movie in 16 years. His last movie was Little Children in 2006, and he was also responsible for In the Bedroom back in 2001 with Sissy Spacek. Tar, though, is probably up there with the Banshees of Inisherin. There was another movie, I can't think of the name of it, that's up there. Tar is up there, though, I would say at least the top 10 most acclaimed movies of the year.
Yeah.
In terms of critical reception. It has gotten rave reviews. I truthfully think it's the front runner for Best Picture at this moment in time.
And actress.
I think it's and actress. I think if Kate Blanchett doesn't win it, I don't know who is at this point. But I think this movie has a chance to clean house at the Oscars. I truly do, for whatever that's worth. Having said that, though, the critical reception has been sterling. The audience reception, understandably, has been very mixed and polarized.
I expected that. Like 10 minutes into this, not to cut your train, but 10 minutes into this movie, I was like, oh, this is gonna be polars, complete polars. 'Cause it literally opens with like a literal like 5-minute, which is a lot of time in movie time, 5-minute New Yorker interview, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! No wonder the critics love this.
It opens with, before even that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Low key, I love that scene, but like that whole
scene.
It's not even a scene; it's a sequence. Yeah. At that point, not only that, I love this movie's gonna piss people off immediately because it opens with credits, which are called acknowledgments, mind you, and they're shown backwards leading up to the producers and then Todd Field. And they don't show the cast either. They don't show the cast until the very end.
Very smart.
And I thought that was smart, and there's a reason for it.
Yeah, 100%. But I'm going to defeat that argument. I don't know. I was like, they waste our time for the first actual 5 minutes with these opening credits. I'm like, bro, like every movie since before the 60s did that. So get used to it.
True.
Literally, I think Star Wars was the first one, or at least one of the first to do that. And he got into a big, George Lucas got into a big fight with the unions over putting the credits at the end.
You watch any pre-60 movies, like I love Clark Gable movies. There's a period of time I was watching a Clark Gable movie a week. The first 5 minutes are devoted to credits.
Yeah, 100%.
The first 5 minutes are devoted to credits.
This is not new. But anyway, continue.
With my friend, though, me and my friend, we're gonna go back and forth on this. He saw this movie like a week and a half before I did, and he was like, "I hated it. I don't know how anybody like can like it. It's joyless, whatever." So then I saw it, and I texted him. The first thing I texted him was, I said, "Loved it. Could totally see why you or anybody else would hate it." And he was, I think he was kind of disappointed because he's like, "I wanted to argue with you about it." And I said, "No, it's not one of those movies that, like, if somebody tells me they saw it and hated it, I'm be like, I can see it. I understand."
Well, why did they say that they hated it? What were like some of the reasons?
He said, well, I mean, in a lot of ways too. I mean, it's not his name ain't the title of the show at the end of the day. But I mean, what he said though, no, what he basically said though is he said that it doesn't really develop character relationships. We never really get a clear picture on what exactly Lydia Tarr did. And it's sort of, the movie sort of just plods in that regard, in that it spends a lot of time on nothing, and it's very subtle in that way. And I get it. I totally get why anybody would hate it.
I would leverage that in saying that's the trick that the directors, not the trick, but like that is a concerted strategy. So at the very least, if you disagree with that strategy, that's fine. But it's not due to any kind of amateurish take on it. But in any case, I'm not here to argue with your friend, who is very valid take. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
No, the only thing I'll add to, just in sort of opening remarks, though, is again, I can totally see why anybody would think this is a chore to get through. And I'm not going to lie, it was a patience tester for me at times too, especially in the second act. But there is so much here that I think is finely crafted. It's almost like it's an orchestra in its own right. The shots, the blocking, the cinematography, the very austere look of this movie. And the other thing, and I love movies that do this, even if I don't quite understand them to the fullest degree. I love movies, and the Nicolas Cage movie
Back and better than ever. It's Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube, talking the end of Oak Street, the most anti-cat movie you'll see this year, almost certainly. And that says something after Obsession too, because I didn't like that either. I didn't love that either. And I even too, again, I think I don't know if I've shown these on the show. Shout out to Catherine. Got the My Little, can't see because of the stupid AI thing. My Little food critic, Post-it notes, what you know about them. Anyway. The end of Oak Street, though, I did like, the more you dive into it, you don't have to dive in too deeply. The ending, as we've talked about, doesn't make a whole lot of sense from a logic standpoint. From a logic time warp standpoint, doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a surprisingly sweet little conclusion for the movie. It rebounds it a bit. It also too, and I know we made the Spielberg comp for this. I've seen some people say that this movie feels more Spielberg than Disclosure Day does, in some ways. But you know what? It's not so much Spielberg code. Well, I guess it is if I'm going to make this comparison. But the ending really felt like an Amblin movie.
Yeah.
It felt like an Amblin movie. I think I even put in like the SEO description of this. I called it an occasionally rambling Amblin movie.
That's funny.
And so that kind of fits though. And I like that part of it. And kind of similar to the style of Amblin, it doesn't beautify or gloss over like everything or make everything like too pretty. Like we've said before, there's a couple legitimately shocking scenes in this thing.
Yeah.
Like they did push the PG-13 a little bit here.
This is one of the hardest PG-13s I've seen in a while.
Yeah, this is one of those movies too that I would say like PG-13 means parents strongly cautioned. The S is invisible. But PG-13 means parents strongly cautioned. I would not. I mean, I can't. I got to take myself out of it. I would say 13 probably is the appropriate age for this. 13 and up. Know your kids, but like this isn't like a. This is dark, and I know some people say like, "Oh, well, there wasn't PG-13 back in the day." This is darker than Gremlins.
Yeah,
like and Gremlins has a couple of scary moments. This movie has a couple of like really bloody moments. Like
this reminds me of like the Indiana Jones movies. Whenever like the villain gets his comeuppance, like in the first movie with Raiders of the Lost Ark, you're literally seeing people's like faces melt and everything. And like I remember thinking as a kid, like that's insane that I just witnessed that as a kid. Now imagine that, but it's like the rest of the movie with every death scene in this movie, basically.
Temple of Doom created PG-13, right?
I think so. Either that or Crusade
No,
did.
no, it wasn't. It was
No?
I know this. It was 1984. It was Red Dawn.
Oh, you're right.
Really?
It is. Yes, I remember.
Because
Because
Red
I remember
Dawn
thinking
was
the remake had less grit than the original, which created
They-
PG-13.
however the story goes is that like the studio submitted Red Dawn to get rated like a couple months early before it was going to come out, and they slapped it with the MPAA slapped it with an R. There was only G, PG, R, and X
Yeah.
at the time, and they slapped it with an R. And the studio was like, but this movie focuses on high schoolers. Like, we want that target audience. But the MPA is like, it's too violent for PG. And the executive of the studio at the time successfully lobbied with an appeal and said, we need an intermediate rating. We need a movie. We need a rating that, like, allows teenagers, high schoolers to see a movie and also doesn't give them the stigma that like PG means it's for kids.
Yeah.
So then they came up with PG-13. And you think about it, because it was either PG or R. That's why if you go back and like, I'm trying to draw some examples, but like there's some R-rated movies in the 70s and 80s that like are R because of 2 swear words.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a little harsh for this, but there was no PG-13 rating until 1984.
All I can think about now is that meme photo of the guy setting like a domino and it leads to bigger dominoes. And it's just like the little domino is this guy making the PG-13 rating for Red Dawn. And the big domino is seeing a man get torn apart by pterodactyls in real time in End of Oak Street.
For the longest time then too, like, it's still kind of a common adage. I see critics and even some audiences, they've loosened it. Marvel has really gotten them to loosen it a little bit.
Yeah.
It truly used to be you got one F-bomb in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
And that was it. There's stories of like Tremors they had to go back and recut because it was gonna get an R and they wanted PG-13, but they said the F word too much.
Yeah.
And there's some really weird dubbing scenes in that movie.
This movie does have one great use of the F-bomb rule.
It does.
It made me laugh my ass off when they used it.
To hear the one F-bomb, or one or maybe two, they'll allot you now, F-bomb in a PG-13 is like the equivalent of hearing the movie title in the movie.
Yeah, it's like that or the Wilhelm scream. It's like, there it is.
You know, like that's always fun. That's always fun. I'll jump into my star rating though here though. There's parts of this thing that I really did enjoy, but just like there's a reason the PG-13 rating exists, there's a reason the 2.5 star rating exists too. They're usually not my favorite to give. They're not my favorite to write about, but The End of Oak Street is like the epitome of a 2.5 star movie to me. It's almost good. It's almost really good. You can see moments where it could have been great. But it's a great idea without refined details in a lot of sense. And I didn't love the POV they chose for the characters and such. So it's 2.5 out of 4 stars for me. We'll go Joe then Dom for closing thoughts.
Yeah, for me, I was teetering between 2 ratings. And one rating I felt like this feels a little too harsh because at the end of the day, I have to say this. Did I have fun watching the movie throughout the entire time? And it's like, yeah, even when I was kind of having these criticisms and even thinking back to the movie, there are still moments I'm like, I still kind of want to see that scene play out again. I want to see that chase sequence. I want to see that. So like at the end of the day, I looked at the star rating I was going to give it. And originally I was going to give it 2 after I like really thought about it. But then thinking about it some more and everything, and you even brought up a good point. I really did not credit in even the notes I wrote down here. I didn't credit the cinematography. And I remember thinking while I've been watching it, the way this movie is shot is so cool. Like, just there are certain scenes, even the nighttime scenes too, how they did those were pretty cool as well. The snake in the house, how they shot that. Like, I know it's a CG, but like how they came about choosing the camera angles for that and everything, and how long that scene goes on for. It's a very creative, like, directed scene. And I can't take away also that. I do think that at the very end of the day, David Robert Mitchell directs the hell out of this. It might not be written the best. It might not be logically written the best either. But directing-wise, he nails it. And I gotta give credit where credit's due, especially when we're dealing with the Jurassic Park movies. And we just got another one last year where I feel like they are kind of just the run-of-the-mill now dinosaur movies. at least this gave me something refreshing with it. So with that being said, I will give it 2.5 out of 4 stars.
Well, I'm not going to mince my words. I'm just going to say 3. 3 out of 4 freaking stars.
No, I don't blame you. Like, I everybody I saw this with loved it. They had a great time with this movie, so I totally get it.
Because by the end of Oak Street, I'm having a good time, and that's really what what people are going to be walking away with, right?
Yeah.
What they say about music, the most important notes are your first note and your last note. That's how I kind of feel about this. Except the first note was weird, but regardless, honestly, like Joe, you're saying directs the hell out of this. There's a thing called the split diopter shot, where you have someone really up close and really far away. And
yeah. Those moments when they're having the family conversation, that was great.
Yeah, usually that one of these things is out of focus, but because you split the lens in half, both things get to be in focus, and that's really cool. And I'm like, okay, it's a very obvious trick, kind of like the one shot. But I'm like, you know what? They're having fun with it. They're playing with it. This isn't just, again, Jurassic Park, the sequel trilogy. We're just throwing dinosaurs at the screen.
Yeah, we're like, okay, I gotta get the 18th shot of the fucking Stegosaurus being majestic again in the field. Great, cool, great. All right, move on.
we get true innovation. We see dinosaurs fucking. It was great.
Dude, yeah, my friends were like, why do they have to show that? I'm like, you know how many times I watch Stegosauruses just go in Jurassic Park, and this gave me something new.
Oh, you know, the CG artists love doing that. You know,
you know what? I want to give it 3 stars now because of that. Thank you, Dom.
This is, and I tell you, because I know you gentlemen didn't see it. Take it from me. This is the second best dinosaur movie of the weekend. Paw Patrol: The Dino Movie was damn good. That was a damn good movie. Okay, you know, I had fun with the Dino movie. This is second on my list there. You know, it's better than feared, because I think the last Jurassic World movie I saw was, I think, Dominion, and that's been it. And I hated Dominion, and that's where I quoted the Angry Video Game Nerd when he reviewed all the Jurassic Park games. When I quoted in Dominion, I said, "Does this movie suck? You bet Jurassic does."
Dom, what else did you want to say?
Sorry, no, man, that's it. We got humping dinosaurs, and we got Anne Hathaway. That's all I need. There we go.
Before I tease next week, probably should have said something to open the show, but just want to make sure to say it too. Rest in peace to Hayden Panettiere.
Yes, yeah.
Man.
I mean, if we take a moment or something like that, I mean, that was sad news to hear Sunday night when that broke.
Do we know the full story, or like a story, a cause of death?
Cardiac arrest was the first initial report, and that seems to be the runaway at the moment, you know, or like the tell at the moment.
I know there was suspicion of foul play with her partner, but then it came out it was just cardiac arrest. Either way, though, terribly heartbreaking, man. I mean, I loved her in the Scream movies. I never watched Heroes, but I remember as a kid seeing the commercials.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I remember seeing the commercials and thinking "Save the cheerleader, save the world" was such a cool tagline for that show.
Yeah, it's 36 years old. Her brother died a couple of years ago, Jansen Panettiere, who you might remember he did a lot of voice work. He was in, I've brought it up before, he was in back when Nickelodeon was trying to get into like the original movie game, like Disney Channel. Yeah. He was the starring role in a movie called The Last Day of Summer. And that's where I was introduced to him. And that's kind of like Groundhog Day for kids is really what the movie is. But like, he died of an enlarged heart. And Hayden was his older sister, and the family only had 2 kids. Like, so they have to relive this shit all over again. Now with Hayden Panettiere, who just had a book come out, who just had a memoir come out.
She had a memoir come out that went about it, like everything she went through as a child actor and everything. Not an easy read.
I went back and looked. Oh, I believe it. I mean, I went back and looked. Like, I know she was in Remember the Titans and everything. The movie that I my favorite of hers. And I remember getting it from Disc Replay because I was curious. It was really mismarketed on home video. It's called The Good Student. And it was a direct-to-DVD movie, like 2006. And the cover, if you look at the DVD cover, it kind of frames it like it's going to be like this sort of like graduate style movie where it's like, you know, like this salacious relationship between like a high school student and her teacher. It's actually, though, a really like deceptively good thriller. And like who holds the cards in this thing? Like she's really good. It's called The Good Student. It's free on YouTube. It's like an hour 20. That's my favorite movie with her. She's also, and I watched every one of these movies, and I didn't like almost any of them except the one she's in. She's in the best Bring It On movie too. All
Yeah,
or
she
Nothing.
is.
Really?
Yeah.
She's in the best Bring It On movie easily.
I've not seen any of them, but that's saying something because I know the first one's like people really like.
She's a great character. I'm glad, Joe, you've seen it. All or Nothing with
I had a
Solange.
crush on her growing up, so like I watched it for that reason.
I think we all did. Yeah.
Yeah, she's with Beyonce's sister in that, and she's like the most dynamic person. I liked her more than Kirsten Dunst in the original. I thought,
Yeah,
I thought
honestly,
I'm like this. I remember thinking watching the third one, I'm like, this kind of should have been her franchise. Like they could have really used her character like as an anchor. But rest in peace to Hayden Panettiere. That was really sad news
Yeah,
to see. And nice
Go-
to see how beloved she was by our generation too.
No, honestly, I'm so surprised because I thought I didn't think she was that big of an actor with our generation. And there were so many people on Instagram and Facebook that I saw that are the same age as us being like, "Oh my God, I loved her in this." I didn't know she was in Nashville, so I know that was like kind of like a big hit for like people who really love watching primetime TV, like ABC and Fox and CBS, like those channels. So it's like I didn't know she was on that show, so I guess that's like probably where they got introduced to her. The last thing I saw her on was, and it's so heartbreaking. She was on a podcast recently, and I knew like about like some of the stuff she was going through, but she talked about the last thing she talked about on the podcast is how she feels like life is moving forward and she's ready to to move on after releasing the memoir, all this other stuff, and she is worried about her health condition, but she's gonna see where it goes, and then just like seeing this, I think it's literally 2 months later from her recording that podcast. I'm like, that's fucking heartbreaking, man.
That's sad. It really is. I mean, I want to make sure to say something about her though because she.
No, thank you for doing that. Yeah, we acknowledge just so many other actors and actresses on this show and directors and whatnot. It would not have been cool to have to do that, honestly.
Last thing, some more bad news though, real quick. On our schedule next week is Tony. We're not getting Tony out here next week, unfortunately.
Damn it, really? I was really looking forward to this movie.
Now, here's my suggestion. We haven't done a documentary this year, I don't believe. There is a documentary. I think it would be fun. It's not long. It's like an hour and 40 minutes. It's called Never Stop Chasing. It's coming out this weekend. It's on Reed Timmer, the Storm Chaser. We've had some crazy ass weather here in the Midwest over the last couple of months too, so I do think this is kind of a germane release. If it works for you guys, it works for me.
Let me see when it's playing. Actually,
Never Stop Chasing.
Of course, it's the best show times ever. Early as fuck and late as fuck.
Oh Jesus! Of course.
I will try my best to go see it then.
Does that work for you, Dom? You think?
Yeah, I like Reed Timmer. I follow him. I follow his stuff.
I don't know a ton about him either, so I see this as like an educational opportunity for me too. I've heard the name, I've seen a couple things online, just haven't really dove into him or anything like that. But I do know storm chasing is like an art unto itself,
Yeah.
And I think of nothing else. It would be kind of cool to see this on the big screen.
I remember he was at the premiere of Twisters.
I do remember that too. Yeah, I do remember reading that. But yeah, if it works for you guys, it works for me. Never Stop Chasing. It comes out on Thursday, tomorrow. So we will plan for that tentatively for next week's show. That's our show. Joe, I appreciate it and everything like that, hosting and doing what you got to do. Dom on the road, our far-flung correspondent here. I hope you have an enjoyable day. You're muted, Dom.
We got full character arc here. I literally just found parking.
Beautiful.
You've been finding parking the entire time that you were on camera?
I've been stopping so that I can talk, but yes.
Man, look at that. What a way to end the show. That's our show, though. Next week, we'll tackle the documentary, the Reed Timmer documentary, Never Stop Chasing. For Joe Viso, Dominic Guanzon on the move, and yours truly, this has been Sleepless with Steve.